Hi, welcome to Waiter Nation. My name is Michael Fang, and I'm your host today. I have conversations on this live podcast with other restaurant professionals. I hope if you're in the restaurant industry, you'll join in, at least with a comment. Tell us what state you're from, what restaurant you're from, what's going on. I can't keep track of everything that's going on. California just rolled back. They're saying that even schools are going to be online in the fall. Vegas, bars are closed. Obviously, like Texas and Florida, Missouri, Louisiana, Atlanta. I don't think the state. Tomorrow I have Josh coming on, so we'll talk about Georgia, but I don't think the state. But I know Atlanta rolled back. I know that we've been collecting unemployment, or at least hopefully we have. Now that's over. We went back to work. Now we start claiming again. I know there's a lot of people in trouble, and it seems like the only gripe I hear is people making more in unemployment. But there's a lot of people that are really suffering, haven't been able to collect unemployment. If you're one of them, let us know. I've got a lot of DMs this week from different people telling me stories. They don't actually want to go on air and tell their story, but I'll tell them for them. Let's see. G, you're going back to work today in Las Vegas.
Yep, today.
Now, is that because increased business?
So what happened was they wanted to expand their business hours. So originally they were only 5 days a week and they were only doing dinner. Now they're going to go 7 days a week. They were only doing dinner during the week. They were doing lunch and dinner on the weekends. Now they're going to go 7 days a week and they're going to do lunch and dinner. 7 days.
Okay.
So that said, they only have in my restaurant 3 managers, which for anyone who knows Carmine's, on a full staffed management team in Carmine's is about like 6 to 7 managers.
Right.
So now they're bringing me back on board because, they need another manager to be able to go 7 days.
So what's your anticipated work week? Are you going to be full time? Are you going to be,
so
or are you just
full time? I'll be full time, so I'll work 5 days a week with 2 days off. I believe I might have to help the other restaurant we have, but I don't know how that will work because we are going 7 days a week. But I'm sure I would have to jump in and help. So I'm going to also train in that restaurant to learn their concept.
Carmine's is in Caesars in Vegas?
Yeah, so Carmine's is located in Caesars in the Forum Shops. Kind of reminds me of like the Pier a little bit, but
okay.
It actually has really good stores and things like that. A lot of tourists, go in there and shop. And then the sister restaurant is located at the Link, which is an outside type of venue. And then there's all like restaurants and bars and shopping stores in the Link, but everything is outside.
So this week or 2 days ago, bars are to be closed in Las Vegas. Is that what they did?
Yeah. So on Thursday night, the governor, he announced that he was going to be shutting down the bars, and I believe he did it by county. But obviously Las Vegas, which is Clark County, the cases were the highest. Oh, thanks, Dad.
I know they're thinking about you going back to work today.
I know. So in Clark County, the cases were the highest. So basically all our bars had to shut down at midnight. With that being said, it's but I don't feel like it's fair to the places that were doing the right thing, and a lot of them are. And that's like restaurants and stuff. I do go out to eat a lot, or I did before. I don't think I will now because I'll be back at work. But I do go out to a lot of restaurants, and that's what I like to do. I like to observe what's going on and things like that. And a lot of the bars, they were doing the right thing in the restaurants. They had everyone separated really nice, things like that. There was social distancing happening. I believe that where it takes a fault is where you have real bars, just your bars, they really weren't doing the right thing. And not all of them, but some of them. And I witnessed, with my own eyes, what was happening. And it sucks that like those couple people have to make everyone else suffer. When I was at dinner last night, when I was at dinner this past weekend, I was talking to a bartender, and she had just gotten back to work, and she was on unemployment for 4 months. She hasn't gotten $1 yet, and she's a single mom. So she has no money, and then she finally gets to go back to work, and she works in a restaurant where, they were doing the right thing. And now she's, going back to unemployment again. And it's like, she was so upset. She was like, I haven't even gotten my money from the first time. Now I have to go back on unemployment. I have to figure out how to get the money and hope that I get it. And I don't even know when I'm coming back to work. Like,
I know it seems like some restaurants are doing the right thing, some are doing the bad thing. However, hey, Jose, what's going on, man? However, it seems like the whole nation took on this one headline. Bars are no good. Let's shut the bars down.
Right.
And without looking into it. And then nobody follows up and says, we were on unemployment. Then we got the call. Everybody was posting online. Hey, I got the call. Excited to go back to work. Everybody's going back to work. They're toughing it out, working inside or outside. 2 weeks later, you're out of work again. It's devastating financially. How do you deal with it financially? And how do you go to work every week and say, I'll pay my electric bill next week when I make that Saturday night money? You don't even know if you're going to be open. And it's so, as a total, the country's a mess.
Right.
You can blame whoever you want to blame.
We're 4 months into this. So, there's no reason why people should still be getting $0. It's unbelievable. Like, that needs to be like whoever, and I know that they have a lot on their plate, like, and there's so many people on unemployment, but it's crucial to, to see who's not getting paid, because these people need to be getting paid. Why are we not overlooking their cases and things like that? Because I felt so bad for this girl. Like, I wanted to like help her.
Right.
Even though I'm on unemployment, so I'm not in a position to help anyone. But like, I really just felt bad for her, because I just, I'm like trying to give her like advice and, have her like give her as much advice as I could give someone to help them. But I don't know if that's going to help her. But I just felt so bad, especially when she told me like, I'm a single mom. It's just crazy.
28 million people in this country are looking at eviction in September. 28 million. It's because you can't evict anybody right now. So a lot of people have been piling up. It's not like it's forgiven. It's just been piling up. So come September, you owe 5 months, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Otherwise, you got to go.
Right.
I still see that surprisingly enough, like the housing market is still really strong. A lot of people are selling a lot of houses. I see, the housing market didn't drop. I don't understand it. I think, the economy is a big word, and people say the economy is big, like the stock market's doing well. Seems like sales are doing well. Amazon's doing well. And then we're forgotten about. And it's just like, well, just close them down. Just open them back up. Yeah, close them down again. If you're in a state that has been closed, I know, like Arizona, Texas, Florida, not all of Florida, I think just Miami. And they just closed down.
Yeah, Miami. Mm-hmm.
So with all this going on in New Jersey, still no indoor dining available. If the casinos are open, Borgata just today announced that they're going to open up July 26th. So if casinos were doing well, Borgata usually takes the lion's share of the business when they open up. I'm sure that everybody else will have a little less business going on. We're still fighting. You know what really pisses me off? The Senate has been out. I don't know when they went out, but they get back July 21st. And then August 7th, they go out again until September. We're in an emergency, right? Like, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. You got to get back in. You got to talk about something. You got to help people. You just can't close the country and then expect people to make an income or just open us. Jesus, if we're going to open, let's just open, in one way or another. And the other people, like the bartenders in nightclubs, and they kill it, not making any money, events, concerts, different things.
So Philadelphia actually just announced today that there will be no events. I believe it was over 600 people, but I see them. but there will be no events, I believe, over 600 people until at least February. So basically, what that means for Philadelphia, obviously the Mummers Parade is like a huge thing in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Tradition. That basically will all be canceled because that involves a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, and we probably would have won the Super Bowl this year, so there's no Super Bowl parade either.
Yeah, right?
I don't even know if there's going to be sports. I mean, they're saying there is, but it's so crazy that as soon as one athlete catches the virus, then everybody else, kind of takes one step back, which understandably they're athletes. The health is that's how they make their income, right? I mean, health is important for all of us. That's the craziness. And it's hard for us to get a straight answer. Is this a dangerous virus or is it not? Is it the flu, which is going to mess us up for a week? And then the other half says yes. And then the other half says, no, this is really dangerous. You can die from it. If you have any pre-existing conditions, which a lot of people do, like you don't know, you're walking around, you don't know that somebody's type 1 diabetic. You don't know somebody had asthma as a kid. You see, they say obesity is you're in danger, or anything. People don't talk about their health history, and I would imagine half of us walking around have something that could re-trigger if you got this. So if it is that dangerous, then we'll stay home. We'll shut down. If we did it in April and May, we'd be back to work right now, and we wouldn't even be talking about it.
Right.
Shut down, pay us, let us get back to work before it's too late. If it's not, then let's just all go back to work. I mean, one way or another. I saw a thing about the stock market saying really the restaurants they're not involved in the Dow Jones. I think Dow Jones is like 30 companies, and that's the makeup of it. And it's all like tech, it's all communications, it's all different things where people can stay home and they can still increase, have good profits. And then the little guys like us. So let's talk about something funny. You have another show on YouTube with 4 pretty girls, right?
It's not my show. It's my girlfriend's show, but it's called Lolo's House.
Right. And you guys just talk about kind of like what's on girls' minds, kind of, I guess. I don't know.
So we pick a different topic every week.
Last week,
topics though are influenced by men because we ask like, what would you guys like us to talk about next time? So
last week when we got off the air, you were saying you were gonna talk about the size matter.
We did, and we did talk about that.
Did you figure out if it does or not?
Well, it does, but we talked about like does size matter, like for features like your height, your width, things like that. But then does size matter for your intelligence? Does size matter for your ego? Does size matter for your heart? So we kind of like did a cool twist on it, and we ended up having like a really good conversation.
So what are the most important things that you're looking for then?
I would say like loyalty and trust. I think those are the most important things.
And 6 feet and a good income, right? So in that line, did you see the Red Table? That's Jada Smith's show, and she was on with Will Smith. Are you into that gossip?
So I haven't like seen it, but I would like to hear about it. But I have seen like now all the memes that are making. Did you see the one meme where it's with Will Smith and he's like putting his hands out to her, and it says like, fellas, like, Will Smith did it all right, but he still got cheated on.
If Will Smith can be cheated on, anybody can, right? Like, but I'm not into it. I don't know who she was hanging out with or anything. I just think, Jesus,
his name is Augustus Alina.
Right.
He is a new and upcoming R&B singer. He's actually really talented.
I would imagine that Will Smith got his share along the way too, though. Yeah, I would imagine.
I think it just went one way.
Right? Like there's a line outside the door every day when he opens up that door.
Right. Will Smith. Come on.
So one thing a lot of people are, and I heard it last week and I keep hearing it, is that people are making more money on unemployment rather than going back to work. It's an incentive to stay on unemployment to go back to work. There are an awful lot of people. I think the numbers are something like 62% of the people are making more money. I think a lot of those people are making $20 more a week, $30 more a week, not really anything of a difference. However, if you're low paid, if you're under 30 grand a year, yeah, you're doing much better. You know, if you were making $300 or $400 a week, you're making $700 a week, and that's kind of nice. And there is an outrage about this.
Right.
But there's no outrage about people not getting paid. They're like, oh yeah, that's just okay, you know. And I think it's human nature that you know, we're happy for everybody as long as their happiness does not exceed mine, right? So when you go out and you're like, how much are you making unemployment? And the guy says, oh, I'm making 900. You're like, oh, good, I'm making 1,000. You know, you feel better that you're right. And there's like an outrage. Most of those people, I've been getting emails and emails and emails because I belong to a lot of things looking for jobs, different jobs. And there's opportunities to like be a chambermaid in the casinos in Atlantic City, paying minimum wage.
Wow.
How good a job do you think? Well, I would say I would do, you know, if you're highly overqualified, right? This is something you're not used to and you're overqualified. How good of a job are they doing of, you know, following all the rules? I would think that a lot of people would be frustrated, go in for a day, not go in for a day. And the argument is, well, it's something, you're better off working. $11 an hour. I joined that eviction notice in September. $11 an hour. I just can't. I mean, it's my situation, not everybody's, but that's right.
I don't agree with the whole, like, oh, you're just lucky to have a job thing, you know? And like, you know, we didn't ask for this situation to happen. Like, we didn't ask for it, but in my opinion, and again, this is all opinionated, I believe the hospitality industry has been affected the most because it's like, for example, like when you're in an industry like Kobe, right, and you're selling cars, they're able to transform all of that to this online business, which is amazing because who wants to sit in a car dealership all day and buy a car? I don't. That's the last thing I want to do.
Right.
But when you're in an industry like our industry thrives off the experience, right? That's what you could have the best food, you could have, you know, good service, you could have all of that, but our industry thrives off the experience that you have, which means that experience cannot happen virtually. You can't happen over a phone. You know, you have to be with people, you have to be together. And that's where it gets really tricky with our industry because how do we, like, that's where we need to figure out, like, what innovative can we do that can still give an experience, still make money, we can still involve people, you know, but we can't have too many people going around getting social distance and all this stuff. So there's so many different things that come to play with our industry, like how we're going to get our industry back, you know?
Yeah, and I was talking to Matt Kinkellen on Friday, and he was saying, I mean, at least for like that 7 months you were talking about, conventions are over, and that's our lifeblood in Atlantic City from September till Christmas, right? No large gatherings, nightclubs, sporting events, day clubs, concerts, shows. That's how we thrive. Those Saturday nights. I mean, we have Saturday nights where waiters in Atlantic City will make $700-900. And it's not every single night, but that's how we get by. You know, we have some slow times, we make a living, and then we bang it out on a big show night, and then we pay our bills, and that's you know, the ups and downs of our business. But there are no ups. There's just minimal, and at capacity at 25%. And then there's no like rhyme or reason. I saw somebody asking about the education system, right? So if a kid gets sick, does the teacher have to stay home? If a kid gets sick, does the rest of his class have to stay home? Are they all quarantined? Who pays for the teacher when they're off? Nobody's asking these questions about us. If a bartender gets sick, does the rest of the staff has to stay home? If everybody was exposed, if a customer was exposed, there's no like plan. There's no.
No, there's not. And what I've seen or what I've heard also is like, you know, we're not like, and I'm not saying we, but like our industry and, you know, the casino industry, they're not really telling you like, hey, so-and-so was tested positive for Corona. So now that means that you guys all work with so-and-so. And, you know, they're not like telling you that. And in my opinion, I think that is totally wrong. Like totally wrong. Because when we like agree to go back to work, we're already like putting ourselves at risk. So yeah, someone might look at me and be like, oh, she's young, she's fine. But say I live with older people, or I'm taking care of an older person, or whatever the case is. So I don't understand why it's like this secret. Like, it's like, oh, you tested for AIDS or something. Like everyone wants to be so secretive about it. Like, no, it's the coronavirus. Most of us are probably have to get it. And if someone tests positive for it, I think it's your due diligence to let your whole staff know and, and make a decision where you're going to go from there. If you're a company that has a lot of money, then yeah, you should get your whole staff tested. If not, then you should recommend that they all go get tested if they worked with so-and-so in the past 7 days. Aesthetica Salon in Northfield, they had an employee test positive for it. And I give them such kudos because they had the balls to put that on Facebook. They said, hey, we had an employee test positive for COVID. We've now decided to shut down our salon for 2 weeks. We're going to deep clean our salon. Our staff members we're going to take care of our staff members. And now they're also letting their clients know. How awesome is that? Because when they're, like that's a huge thing for them to do because, people might be like, oh my God, I can't go to Aesthetica now. Someone has COVID. But no, like everywhere you go, someone has COVID. They just have they have the respect of their customers, of their employees to let you know that that's what happened. And that's what I applaud, like 100%.
Yeah, Manco and Manco Pizza in Ocean City, I think. They're like a famous pizza shop forever.
Right.
Put something on Facebook today. 3 line cooks, I think, tested positive. Right. They closed down today. They're cleaning. They're talking to everybody. They're going to open up back up tomorrow, but they announced it. And I think that's what the customers
That's what I would want as a customer and as a team member, because you're around these people while you're working. And you want to know if one of your food runners or one of your waiters or one of your managers tested positive for COVID. You want to know that.
Right.
So you know how to protect yourself,
Are masks mandated in Las Vegas right now?
Yes. So we quarantined for 3 months here and masks were not mandatory.
Right.
It was so different when I would be talking to my family in New Jersey because they'd be like, oh my God, you don't have a mask on? What are you doing? And I'm just like, they're not mandatory. So that was like my mindset. But at that time, we only had like 4,000 cases here, which was nothing at that time, At that time, we had 4,000 cases and New Jersey had 100,000 cases.
Right.
And then, as we begin to reopen, and it wasn't so much when we reopened restaurants, it was more when we went full-fledged and reopened all the casinos, all the bars, everything. Because what happens is that all the other states surrounding us, they were either shutting down again, they were still on lockdown. So those people are just coming to Las Vegas because it's close to home and, they can come here. To get away and things are open and stuff like that. So that's where we, started to see more of a jump in cases. Plus that was a time when like the rioting was happening. So there was a lot of different things happening. But now our cases are jumping every day. So, Governor Sisolak issued on Thursday night that all bars had to shut down in Las Vegas specifically. Then, he suggested, and it was a suggestion, but he suggested that we do outdoor dining. So with that being said, it was 114
right
here on Sunday, okay? Who in their right mind is going to sit outside? Because I'm not.
No, you can't.
I'm off my dog, let alone sit outside and eat dinner. What? Like you walk outside here, you just start sweating, or at least I do.
Yeah, it just hits you, right? Yeah.
So like my legs are sweating. Like parts of my body that I didn't even know could sweat are sweating. So if you think I'm gonna eat dinner outside, you got the wrong one. So it's just like, listen, outdoor dining in Las Vegas would be great in October, right? Because it's February in Las Vegas and it's 70 degrees. So that could work once we get into maybe like not as hot as of a season. But right now, outdoor dining, absolutely not. So I don't know how that's going to work because, I feel like as a governor, he's worried because he's seeing these cases go up. And, it's all about the hospitalization. So if the hospitals begin to get overwhelmed, he's going to have to begin to take back more. Right now he started with bars. So that was a start. But he'll look at different aspects. And I don't think he'll close casinos. I really don't. But I do think he'll close restaurants. I do think that if it gets to that point, he will suggest that restaurants go to outdoor dining. And what happens with that is, and as you know from being an employee in a casino, is not every restaurant can do outside dining,
Right.
whether you're in a casino or you're not. Some just don't have the space to do it. And, for a restaurant like mine, we rent the space in the Forum Shops. So we can't just we're going to take the parking garage floor 2.
Right.
We're going to do a Carmine's outside. It just doesn't work like that. I know from personal experience, like my mom, she's having a hard time working outside. So my mom is a beverage manager for Harris. Obviously, there's no cocktail waitresses, which is, she said the one thing that she's seen a difference is that the casino floor is so clean, like immaculate. But with that being said, she's now a restaurant manager, which she's never was before.
Right.
Which is fine. But not only is she a restaurant manager, she's a restaurant manager outside. So she's running a steakhouse, and Gary, is one of the leaders there, and she's doing that. And then some days she's doing the shut up.
It's a dry heat.
Please. And then on some days she is doing like the burger stand. Like she said, it's literally like, she's like, Giovanna, it's horrible. It's so busy. It's hot. Like she said, it's just crazy,
Yeah, and this is our season, so I would expect Atlantic City to be busy. If this continues, where outside dining goes into the fall, it gets windy and cold and rainy. I mean, I couldn't.
How does that work? Like, do you set up fire pits? Like, I don't know what you can do because, as we all know, the weather in Atlantic City isn't like, we have those 2 nice months out of the year. As we get into September and October, it's okay, but not every day is okay. Some days it's down to 50. So,
well, if your money and your revenue, if a waiter's tips and your restaurant's revenue depend on weather, I said it last week. Every time it rains, it costs you $100. If it rains today, it costs you $100. If it rains 3 times this week, it costs you $300.
Right.
So you're just depending on the weather. A nice day, you make some money. If it's not nice, then you don't make too much money. Ed, yeah, it is sad, and a lot of people are suffering. I woke up this morning and I was like, sometimes you don't have any answers. I have no reason to believe that I'll be called back to work soon. We're closing in on the end of July, which means our money runs out. I hate to be a downer. I'd rather talk about, how are you improving your restaurant? How are you selling wine? How do you train a young guy? Any advice? I'd love to talk about all that stuff. But right now, this is the only thing on everybody's mind. Elvis, what's going on, Elvis?
Hi, Elvis.
Elvis with Vagabond. I don't want to speak for you, Elvis. Oh, Jesus.
So I
was just going to say they're doing well. And Elvis said he closed both places on Friday. It sucks.
Why?
Yeah.
Why, Elvis? Why'd you have to close?
In Atlantic City, they had the mile stretch. It was beautiful.
Yes,
it was really.
I wrote about Elvis in an article that I wrote because I wrote about an article about small businesses because not only is the hospitality industry suffering, but I really feel like the small businesses are suffering even more, right? Because there's nothing for them, They were told they could open. We're doing incredibly well. I know they are. Vagabond's doing great. And that whole thing that he did outside is unbelievable. So in my little article that I wrote about how amazing some of these places like Elvis, they really transformed, they took outside dining to the next level. They made you feel like you were really dining inside. They took the initiative to spend a little extra money to make it not just so like you're in like the garage or the parking lot, right?
Elvis, if you're still listening, I can send you a link and you can join me and Giovanna here and tell everybody how you're doing and what you did. I'd love to hear from you if you want to, if you're still listening to you. If it's not for you, maybe another time.
But yeah, he took outside dining to the next level, along with, I think Valentina's, I think she did a fabulous job outside there with her little nice, beautiful patio. Girasol, amazing. Girasol's patio is fabulous.
I'm going to message Elvis right now. So keep
the link for sure. I would love to talk to him. But yeah, he definitely, like, the mile stretch thing is awesome.
Yeah, I did talk to Tom earlier when they were putting that together before they reopened.
They're always, Elvis and Tom are always like creative anyway, aside from COVID. So
Elvis, I just sent you a link on your Facebook Messenger. I'd love to talk to you if you feel like it. If not, it's okay. But just copy or paste that link to Safari or Chrome and come in and talk to us for 10 minutes. Tell us what's going on. What Steve got to say, the amount of outside dining was one thing missing in Atlantic City till this point. Maybe that's one silver lining. Maybe it is. Maybe people will concentrate on that. I know,
and I agree with that, because sometimes you do want to sit outside, or you do want to like overlook the ocean. And I always thought about that. I'm like, why do we have like this beautiful ocean and restaurants don't take advantage of, using that view and things like that?
Well, the beer gardens, there's one on, Tennessee Avenue. There's one on the boardwalk. That's what Elvis I knew, at least I heard they were thinking about it for a while. And I guess this pushed him in that direction. I think Elvis was talking about it closed on Friday because of the rain. Like it's been, we get this humid summer days, and then it's just vicious at night. Come 6 o'clock, then the rain comes in. But that was my point, that sometimes you you lose money just because of the weather, and when you're inside, you can take the reservations and go on like that. Outside dining's good. On the beach. Yeah, that's all right, man. Maybe another time.
Oh, I had to read that.
Yeah. Well, which is good. I mean, they did take the time off. I haven't been over there yet, but on their time off, they did reinvent themselves, and they went to outdoors. I thought we were like everybody, July 2nd, we were supposed to go indoors, and then we can't go indoors. I think with all the surging cases around the thanks for listening, Elvis. I think with all the cases around the country, especially like we're surrounded, it's all underneath us and coming in from the west.
Right.
But Las Vegas, I'm surprised with Las Vegas because your numbers aren't anywhere near like high. They're like 700 to 1,000 a day, which is a lot, understandably, but they're not 15 or 8,000 or 12. I was surprised to see that.
Florida, I think they did 15,000 in one day, right? It's a lot.
There are numbers this morning. I mean, we're still like way over, close to 60,000, but at least under 60,000 for the first time in 4 or 5 days. And so maybe people were putting on masks, maybe the shutdowns. But, we're double what we were 4 months ago, and we're not open. So how, it took us 4 months to get to here. Where are we going to be in 4 more months? That's what I was saying, outdoor dining in the fall. It seems ridiculous to think that I'll still be home in October, but I would have thought it was ridiculous to be home in July. My daughter booked, she bought tickets to go to Louisiana with her friends back in like March, Julie. Okay. And like a month ago or 6 weeks ago, she was like, am I going to be fine? I was like, yeah, but August, you'll be good. Like maybe, and now she's like, I'm canceling. And I was like, yeah, August is a month away. Who knows what's going to happen? So I would imagine that everybody in our business said, boy, I never was off Memorial Day weekend, right? Like everybody was like, this is strange. It's Memorial Day weekend and I'm off. And everybody said like 4th of July weekend. I never had a 4th of July weekend off. Like the first Saturday I've been off.
me, 4th of July, like that's the thing. Like, I've never had a 4th of July weekend off.
Of course not.
That. And I was telling Brad last night, I was saying to him, I was like, there's so many things that I got out of this that I actually will miss, I'm going to miss like having dinner every night because I never got to do that before. I'm going to miss like being off for 4th of July, being off for Easter. Like I was off for all of that. And those were always things that I always had to miss. My family would be like, oh, is G coming? No, she has to work. No, she has to work. I've never had off for any of this kind of stuff. So, I mean, that part of it I really enjoy.
Yeah, those things, we're never there on the event, right? We're never there Saturday night, 4th of July. We show up Wednesday. Right. We do even like Christmas, we show up like January 4th at our cousin's house, a week later. But that's the industry we're in. But Elvis says like the fallout's going to be horrible. The layoffs, Boyd Entertainment in Vegas, they're the company that ran Borgata forever until like a year ago when MGM took over. Put out a warn notice for 2,500 of their employees. Like they're just going to lay them off because as they're looking forward, they say, even looking forward 6-7 months a year, we probably don't need this amount of people.
Right. Moving forward, we don't need these big teams anymore. We're going on a smaller scale of everything. Everything's going to be smaller. So the amount of layoffs that are about to happen in Las Vegas are going to be crucial. There's going to be so many people out of work. So many. Right. Now we are the state with the highest unemployment rate. I
did see that. And Steve makes a good point. I did read this article this morning, Steve, and what it was saying was that millennials and younger people, they've been trying to attract them to Atlantic City, to the casinos, to gambling, get them into gambling now. So with their disposable incomes, they can be customers forever. However, what they're finding is that there's less younger people. I think it was under 35 is what they said. I think it was 35. It might have been older. That they come for the day clubs, the nightclubs, the just shows, the bars, the sports betting, and then they gamble. Right. Gambling isn't high on their list. All the other things are that we offer.
Right.
All the other things are what we offer. And then while they're there, then they'll hit the craps table or they'll go to a slot machine or they'll do something else. And they're finding that it's an older crowd in the casino, which is fine. Like that's a good crowd for us as well. However, when you talk about market share, if there was, like I said, 10,000 people on a Saturday night going out to dinner in Atlantic City, there might be 4,000 people now. So now all those people that served and bartended are out. Right. And it seems like I'm going to talk. There's an association that's called One Fair Wage. What they do is they go around to different states, what they've been doing for years. They fight for waiters' rights and they fight for minimum wage plus tips instead of like our $2 an hour. So I've done some things with them for the last couple of years, and one of their organizers is coming on with me on Friday to talk about what they're doing all over the country. And they've been sending out checks. They get donations, and then they've been sending out checks to different restaurant workers. In fact, back in March, I called like 300 or 400 people on their behalf and called them up, filled out applications for them, tried to get them the money. I don't know where that ended. We'll talk to Pete on Friday about it. Right. But there are some nightlife. Bungalows on the beach, and their day life is what they've been doing, right?
Right. And in Vegas, what we're seeing for nightlife, or what we were seeing like lounges really thriving. So lounges, whether they were in a casino or whether they were off the strip, they were thriving so hard. They had a DJ, they had everyone social distance at different tables. And it was like being in a club, a social distance club, honestly. But they're taking it like the lounges were taking it to like the next level because they're trying to make up for that nightlife feeling.
Executives must be scrambling to figure out. I mean, 75%. I mean, your capacity is down 75%. So obviously, business is down 75%. How long do you survive? Right. Another thing that I was looking at. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's constant reports, and it's from both sides. The PPP loans, that businesses got, every day I'm reading that like one politician or another who's involved with the company, their company is getting this money, that 500 billion that nobody knew where it was going. And it's just another sign of like crooked politics on both sides, because it's one day it'll be a Democratic governor's company. The next day it'll be Republicans. You know, it doesn't matter to me. It's like rich against poor. It's like, and then there's the argument about not paying people going into the fall.
You know what was really emotional last night?
What's that?
Like stupid, but I was watching a movie or whatever, but like there's like all these people and they're in this subway in New York, right? And they're all together and whatever. And then they're walking out into the city and I'm like, are we ever going to get to that like again? Like, you know, just that feeling, because like you haven't felt that in so long, to be like, you know, around so many people. Just like all these people are like crammed in this subway. It's like on top of each other, like talking face to face. Like, I'm just like, are we ever like, is that going to happen again? Like,
yeah, you just the way you think when you're trying to make plans for next week or next month or to go out, or you're like, oh, I'll go to that restaurant. And then you're like, oh, I can't. I don't even know if they're open. Is it outside? Yeah, yeah. When I see gatherings like that too, it's like, oh, those were the good old days when we could all get.
Like
there was no, you know, we've been in restaurants banged up, jam-packed nightclubs, like you know, right, like this. No worry at all. Like this is, it's like what we do. And now if somebody gets within 5 feet of me at ShopRite, I'm like, you know, right? Like
what?
It definitely changes the way you think. Elvis says, keep in mind, will we get back to normal at some point? This is going to be a lot of opportunity for us. I was talking with Matt and Matt Kinkellen, and he's been a restaurant guy in Atlantic City for years. And he was saying he's going to get out of the business, and like 3 or 4 people. Pardon me?
Which restaurants does he own?
Matt was in Ruth Chris as the general manager. He worked at Morton's. He worked at Curo and Hard Rock as the general manager. He's been a restaurant guy for the last 10 years, managing one restaurant or another. A lot of people know him. And he said that he's getting out. He enrolled in some courses at Stockton. He's going to finish his whatever he needed to move on. Like 3 or 4 people called me and texted me and said they haven't, you know, they're just in this pit of like desperation of what to do. And just him saying, hey, you know what? Like, I've been a restaurant guy for the last 10 years. He's young too. He's probably like 35. Like he's not older, right?
Right.
And he said, unless like a giant opportunity comes where somebody just calls me, you know, from one of the big casinos and says, we'd like you to run this, and it's an opportunity you can't say no to, he's getting out of the business. But people called me and were like, oh, that was so inspirational. What can we do? What, you know, my question to everybody is, what can you do? If we're not doing this, if you're not doing this, Josh always says the first thing that comes to, yeah, Matt's a great dude, Elvis. He was good. He was a good guy to talk to.
Well, I feel like for a lot of people, it's giving them the motivation to kind of do that thing they've always wanted to do, but kind of never got to do, or made excuses, or didn't have time to do. Because, you know, when you're wrapped up in this casino, food and beverage world, you're working a lot. So you don't really have time to study for this or become this or do that. Because, you know, the food and beverage world is consuming, and so is the casino world.
Well, you get trapped, right? You make, I mean, I did when I was a kid, you know, 18 years old, 20 years old, and I'm making more money than college graduates. You got money in your pocket. You're going out. You know everybody. It is a good social life to be in our industry, right? We know everybody. We know all the club guys. We get in for free. We know everybody once we walk into a club. That's why I always warn girls, like my daughters, don't date restaurant people, because it look from the outside in, it looks great, right? They look like they're famous and they know everybody. No, we're just in the business. But you get trapped, right? And then before you know it, you know, you're getting married, and then you're having you got a house and stuff, and it's a hard business to get out of.
That money is so, like, you know, it's there, you know, or at least up until now, it was always there, that money, you know. And sometimes, I mean, I know bartenders that make more money than, you know, I mean, teachers, you know, like the money that we make in that world is a lot more than, you know, some jobs that people go to college for.
100%. And a lot of times, hey, Ty, how are you? Cloud restaurant, cloud kitchens are the future. Is that like a pop-up, a cloud kitchen?
What's cloud kitchen?
Is that where you like would advertise on social media tonight? I'm going to be here, like a pop-up. So then you don't have the big investment. You just, gather some reservations and I'm not sure, but
I never heard of that. Oh, here comes Steve.
It seems like everybody but me and you, who have been in the business forever, knows what a cloud kitchen is. I'm guessing
Yeah,
it's
right?
similar
Cloud kitchen.
to a pop-up, but I don't know. But
It has-
the money is very good for a lot of people. I mean, north of $60,000 for just about everybody I know, right?
So, like, for example, like there was one point where like my waiters in American Cut, they were making more money than me, and I was the manager.
Sure.
So not only were they making more money, but they're working less hours. They have more of a quality of life. So there's a lot of benefits that come by being a bartender and a server and things like that.
Yeah, 25% of 20,000 restaurants in New Jersey will close for good. So if you ever wanted to open a restaurant, if you were ever crazy enough to open a restaurant, this is your opportunity to buy it, maybe a small place, get in, do some rent.
That's so sad what Elvis just posted because, and I wrote this in my article, but people have worked their whole entire lives for that small little restaurant. And, for them to just be taken away under circumstances that they had no control over, to me, it's like heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's tough. Pickup or delivery like Grubhub and stuff like that or the cloud. Okay, so you order online and then somebody goes out and they pick it up and deliver to you.
I mean, that's great. But again, like the whole experience is what needs to happen. And that dining in, that's a whole experience. People right now, it's great to order online because whatever you feel safe, it's delivered to your house. But I mean, people want to be social. They want to be around people. They want to make memories. And that's the most memories are in the hospitality industry, in that world. We make memories for people, whether it's a marriage, a business meeting, a celebration, just friends getting together. Like we're hosting them basically in our house. That's what it's like, what we do.
Yeah.
In person, it's not going to happen over an app or, whatever.
Yeah, you don't go to if a restaurant is slow, you don't normally, you like to be in a packed restaurant. You like to be somewhere where everybody goes. You like to look at.
Right? That's the whole thing about being in a restaurant. I remember we would specifically sit people in certain places of the restaurant so they could be seen.
Yeah, you're right. Cloud kitchens are, it's a pivot. It's a move to something. I mean, if I get out of this and into something else, I won't go to food at all. Maybe.
If you were to end your food and beverage career, Megan, what do you think you would go to? Is my question. Probably
something. It have to be something with sales and communication, and then it makes it difficult because there's a lot of traveling involved, and I try not to be the person that like every suggestion I'm given, like, hey, why don't you try this? I don't say, oh, I can't do that because, I try to just stop and try to take it in, and then like 9:00 tonight, I'll go on the computer and I'll be like, hey, what would it take for me to get my real estate license? What would it take if I was to, an insurance company? Who are my contacts that I've made over the last 20 years in this business that, maybe I'll be a restaurant manager. Maybe I'll go in and I would hate to be a restaurant manager.
Really?
Yeah, I feel the best.
Good restaurant manager.
I feel like what I offer to a restaurant the best is me being on the floor and working with managers and working with the other people. I think that it would be a hard transition for me to think about the restaurant as a whole and not micromanage, because that's what we do as waiters now. We micromanage like every course, every timing. It would be hard to me to step back. Maybe consultant, maybe training, maybe different things of that aspect, maybe Philadelphia. I don't know. No, to-goes, it's not. But I think right now there's a huge demand for to-goes because Jesus, we've been cooking at home for 3 months. I don't even know what to cook. I'm just cooking the same thing over every 3 days. I'm cooking the same thing over again, so when the demand is gone for the to-go, when people have gotten their fill of going out and socializing a little bit, and then if the fear sets in about the virus again, the first thing you do is stop going out. And that's the fear about that.
Well,
I don't know.
Seems like in New Jersey, the fear, people are out. Like, they're at Bungalow every day. They're at Wonder Bar. They're, they're out. Like, it's more of a younger generation, obviously, because I believe the younger generation is not as scared as, the older generation.
Yeah. And for me, I'm set to a certain income. I can't go out and it was one reason why I came into American Cut late, because I took another job. Well, the other job, I was going to probably make about $40,000 a year for 2 years before I made big income. I can't take a hit like that,
right.
As head of household. So I can't afford to just drop back, get my own serious exit. Let me tell you something. I pursued acting and modeling in Manhattan for years, did calls, 231 auditions I've been to.
Wait, it was on Wolf of Wall Street. Don't try and play yourself.
Right. I've done some work. I've pitched producers about waiter shows for TV network, and big producers, like names that I can tell you their names. I got in their office. I filmed at Revel. Last year, I had another company involved, and we were trying to get another idea up and going. And so, man, I've been chasing for a long time. This came along, and this was fairly inexpensive, that there's really not a lot of cost, and all I have to do is talk. I hope that I get some more people, and this catches on. However, I have never made any money on Waiter Nation, and but I hope one day I do. So yeah, if I could sit in a room with a microphone and make money, obviously, right? I'd like to be. Chefs got their 2 networks on TV, and chefs always give me criticism or DM me on the side and was like, "Hey, the real work's in the kitchen." First of all, blow me. Second of all, you guys got 2 networks on TV. You guys you put the forks and the knives on your forearms, and you're all tough guys, right? So I've been trying it for a long time.
Like the difference we have at the back of the house and the front of the house.
Yeah, when the last producer I was in their office, and this was Philadelphia, and they said, "Hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you go to a restaurant and get all the waiters and yell at them and crack the whip on them and get them into shape?" And I was like, "What? These chefs yell at cooks and stuff?" I said, "Well, I don't want to do that." I said, "That's
yell at waiters and stuff, or how?"
I said, So I was like, "Listen, why don't you put me on the floor someplace and get this mean, nasty chef that rips everybody apart, and I'll go up against them, because I can handle myself in that situation." So they were like, "Nah, nobody would believe that." And I was like, "Well, they believe that chefs rant and rave all day long and yell and throw pots, and that obviously can't happen. There's HR and lawsuits and everything else." But anyway, I have tried for a long time, and I have great stories. I have stories that'll get me laid. That's 100%, because hanging out with different stars and different people and stuff like that, it's 100% true. But besides for that, I haven't made any money on it. But we'll get off my life story here. But
I would love for you to get into acting or have your own show.
Well, it is a crazy, crazy business. And when you walk into the audition rooms, if you walked into one, every girl in there would be as pretty as you and look just like you. And that's really a crazy, right? I walked in and everybody was my height,
right,
my age. They were all better looking, and everybody's
I'm the ugliest person.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the truth. I've walked into it. I did work with a lot of beautiful girls where, you do a print job, or you walk in, you hang out with them, and people say well, isn't that intimidating? No, what's intimidating, and anybody in the business will tell you this. If I walk into a room and there's 40 guys that look like Superman with blue eyes, because that's what I would walk into, the Clark Kent kind of, the Mad Men, and you think, Jesus, why would they call me into this room? I don't belong here, And then you get a gig, and then you go and you show up, and then they pay you, and it's like, I got $3,000 for working for 2 hours one morning, and it's awesome. And then you don't work again for 6 months, and then you're, trying to get off in the business. So it's crazy. And to act on camera is ridiculously hard because they'll give you a sheet of paper like this, and you'll be sitting in the waiting room, and everybody goes to a different corner and is like reading out loud their audition. I went to an audition to be on the show Suits, no, White Collar, as a bartender. And there were a bunch of bartenders in there. They wanted an Irish bartender. So this is my worst audition ever. That's what I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you the good ones. So I walk in and they give me a sheet of paper like this, and they were asking, it's kind of like with Law and Order when they walk in, they're like, hey, did you see this person? And it's like, no, I didn't see them. They were in the back room all night. Like just a little spot like that. I did so awful. I didn't have my glasses and I couldn't see the cue cards and stuff like that. There was no bar. You're just standing like in an empty room with 4 people in front of you looking at you, and you have to act like a bartender, like pouring drinks and stuff, which is like, Jesus, are you kidding me? And then there were 4 of us that walked in to audition, and then we'd walk out together, and then 4 more would come in. So I was the first one, and I walked over to these other actors where they were waiting to go audition, and I would watch them. And the director looks back at me and he goes, dude, you can split. And I was like, oh my God, just horrible.
I could never even act. So yesterday, Brad and I went to the Mob Museum, which is like this really cool museum in Las Vegas. It's all like about the mob and things like that. So I got to pick like 2 like active things that we got to do. So the one thing was like we had to pretend to be police officers. So and there's like a live actor with us. So now we're pretending to be police officers. I don't say a word. I'm not even opening my mouth. So, Brad's taking the role. He's talking. Like, I don't even introduce myself. We end up getting shot by the actor because we didn't ask him to see his hands. I'm like, oh, I would never be able to be an actress. Like,
it is so ridiculous and so like feeling of embarrassment. Like, what am I doing? Am I pretending here? Like, and I didn't.
You just get really into that. Like, I can't.
Well, I always think of it this way. When we're at work, and when Randy and I used to work together as partners, Randy doesn't like to tell the specials. So I would always tell the specials. So I would always go, and I would tell him I like to, because when you're doing a monologue or you're performing in front of the camera, when you go to an audition for a commercial, arms are at your waist. You're not like doing all this stuff. You won't book the part. You just have to be, and if you notice actors, you have to be like this, and you just have to say your line. There's not a whole lot. They just want you to say the line. The line sells the product, not you're like, hey, this is so great, So for years and years, I used to go up to a table and tell specials, my arms down, and just say, how are you? Tonight's special.
Kind of that way, right?
Right, to practice, because it's so weird to talk with your arms down. Right. First you just want to protect yourself, and you want to
this, or you want to go here.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's a big casting agent in Philadelphia here at Casting, and I went there a lot. I did a couple commercials, got a couple gigs off them, and you always had to go in their audition room and just stand in front of a camera and then just start talking. It's hard. But anyway, maybe the good thing about being an actor is like you can be 60 and make it, and you can be 20 and make it. They always need a type. My type was like the dad, the banker, the stockbroker, the boyfriend, like that kind of, not the boyfriend for like, the dad of an adult child, stuff like that. So whenever you see like Bank of America, when you walk in, you're like, oh, there's a guy, I was at that audition. Verizon, I was at that audition. I'd go to these auditions and then watch all the commercials on TV afterwards. So.
Elvis, I am back home. I come back home August 2nd. And I will definitely be stopping by your wonderful mile stretch so I could see it in person.
You're not Italian if you don't talk to them. Well, like they'll tell you that too. It's you'll read the breakdown. Financially successful Italian person, thinning hair, some gray. It'll be like particular to like all that. Talks with hands, and then you'll have to talk with hands. I did an audition for the lottery, and on the wall there was a picture. And at the end, like I was the husband and my wife won the lottery, It was Pennsylvania scratch off lottery. And at the end, I had to say, is that picture on the wall crooked? And I kept going, is that crooked? Is that crooked? And tilt my head. And the guy was like, don't tilt your head. Just say, is it crooked? And I'd go, hey, blah, 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 blah. Is that crooked? And the guy was like, okay, go. And I was like, I couldn't get it out of my head to say like crooked and move I couldn't just say, is that crooked? Like I'm doing it right now.
I just did it and I need to.
Right. So you can imagine like when you walk in, and besides everybody in the office, like the girl or the guy that like takes your headshot when you walk in, they were all in the business. They couldn't make it. You can tell because they have blue eyes and they're like fashioned out. And so they hate you as soon as you walk in anyway. You get treated like a dog. I did a lot of extra work for money because it pays. And but it was a good education because I got to hang out and watch like A-list actors 2 feet away.
How did you get the actual job for Wolf of Wall Street? Like, how did that come to life?
There's different things online. Well, it's like being your own agent. So that was an extra job. And that was, I would just keep submitting because obviously Leo and Scorsese and all those guys were involved. I just wanted to go and sit and watch them on set. Right. You know, it's not a big ego thing like, oh, I did this. So I kept sending my headshot in every single day. In New York, when there's a job, you would send your headshot in. Like they would give you a breakdown. We need a stockbroker looking guy I had long sideburns and my hair was long at the time. So I looked like the 80s or whatever period they wanted. And I sent it in. And then they called me and then they said, can you make it on this day? Can you make it on this day? Went to New York, got a fitting because that suit is theirs. It's time appropriate. And then went back like 2 weeks later. And it was a Monday holiday. And it was in the Bronx at a courthouse. And and then they needed somebody to sit next to Kyle Channer, you know, the guy that does Friday Night Lights. Right. Because he was the opposing FBI guy against Leonardo. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting next to this guy. And then we're talking about football and shoes and smoking cigarettes with Leonardo for 5 hours outside. He was smoking the blue, like a big, long, like blue cigarette all over the place. And I was just smoking cigarettes. I didn't care. At that time, I was like, bro. I was
smoking cigarettes with you.
We were smoking cigarettes next to each other, and I thought, bro, you don't care who I am. I mean, I don't want your autograph.
Sounds like a dream.
Yeah. So, but it was just cool to see everybody, you know, Scorsese yelling and not yelling, but how he worked and how everybody worked. It's cool. It's cool. I worked on Law and Order one time, and the whole crew was in my bar. I was a bartender, right? So you got Mariska Hargitay, you got the sergeant, you got Ice-T. Everybody's sitting at the bar, and I'm an extra and I'm just bringing them drinks, you know, and it's a real long scene. And they go through it. The assistant director deals with us, not the director. So she goes through this whole thing that what she wants me to do. And it's like a 4.5, 5 minute scene. So I had to stay busy, go to the computer. It was like work for me. So I wasn't good. And she explains the whole thing and she goes, you better not fuck this up. Okay. I thought, man, that's just like work. I'm good. You know, so I was like getting a glass of wine from Mariska Hargitay and then iced tea, a beer, but to see them like in real life, how they are, yeah, it's cool. It's great stories and it's a great experience. However, to make it, I stopped doing it because I thought I'm this close to being, you know, to saying words on camera, and now I can make a real living, and I'm not. So it was like frustrating. So it was so frustrating all the time to. Yeah, I know, Elvis. I know. Everybody was excited about Egg Harbor Township Vagabond opening up on the golf course. I know Jesse and I know Kathy really well, and everybody was excited. That was just about like St. Patrick's Day, and then all of a sudden the shutdown comes in. I have heard some good things about people talking about Egg Harbor Township Vagabond about outside, so I'm guessing you kind of redesigned or reinvented over there so people can go and enjoy lunch or do takeout out there. So, so listen,
Brad's mad at me because I didn't wake him up because he just woke up.
Is your camera ready?
He had no shirt. I said, where's your shirt?
Well, yeah, I mean, one time I'd like to talk to Brad. He's a casino executive in Las Vegas. So he's in some bigger meetings than you and I are. And he's talking about the whole concept of business and the future and bringing people in. And he's talking.
He's going to share all of that with us, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Really good perspective on it. He's having a hard time, you know, like I think every week it's like it's a new task that he's facing, but he is having a little bit of a hard time getting people here, obviously, because people are scared. A lot of his clientele comes from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if they're a specific type of player, then they could be flown on a private jet, which is one amazing thing about the company that he works for. Oh, what's up, Brad? But you know, if you're like not at that level of a player, and you know, then that whole thing doesn't really exist to you, and people are nervous to fly. They're nervous to come to Vegas. They're hearing the numbers going up. So
yeah, most people I heard, at least over 4th of July, they said the majority, it was like 87% of people were traveling within 100 miles and driving because they just felt safer. They knew someplace close. They could drive there. They could drive home. No planes, no big, you know, and most of it was like camping, lake sites, renting cottages, stuff like that. So in Carmel County, California, there is a waitress named Jenica. I don't know her last name. So it's all over YouTube and all over the channels that there was a racist guy in a restaurant and he starts yelling at an Asian family close by. I don't know why. And he's saying like all kinds of rude shit to them. And this waitress gets up and she goes, dude, get the fuck out. Get out of the restaurant. You can't eat. And he's a CEO of like a Silicon Valley company or something. I don't know. Like he thinks he's a big deal or something like that.
Oh, wait, Brad's coming, he said.
Okay. So I'll tell the story and then Brad can come in. And then, and this is like somebody catches on a cell phone, goes viral. They start GoFundMe's for her. She's got $100,000 now in a GoFundMe. She's going to start a yoga studio because we all do side gigs. So her side gig was yoga. Okay. But in that situation, when somebody is out of line and you're not the manager and you're not the person, like your job's on the line, because then afterwards it'll be like, well, that's not your job to yell at them. That's your job to go to the manager. Let us make the decision. And she took it upon herself. She said she couldn't help herself. And she just lit this guy up in the restaurant. I applaud her because it's tough to do something like that. Gary, what's up?
Hi, Gary.
Elvis, glad to hear that Egg Harbor Township is doing good. What's up, Brad? Brad's going to put a shirt on and
Brad's making an appearance.
And going to make an appearance. Brad is what? Director of Casino Marketing at Venetian? Is that, am I right?
The director, yeah.
What is he?
Executive Director of Casino Marketing at Venetian.
I first met Brad when we worked at Revel together. Mm-hmm. And then kind of, made friends online and stuff like that. Then I guess he went to Connecticut for a little while and then Punta Cana and then Las Vegas, something like that.
After Revel, he went back to Venetian and he was basically like the director of marketing for the East Coast. So he was living in Atlantic City and he was doing all the marketing for the East Coast and he was flying out like monthly.
Okay.
And then after that, he left and went to Punta Cana. And so he lived in Miami and worked in Punta Cana. And I don't think that he didn't love it that much, but at that time they were opening Hard Rock in Atlantic City. So then
came back up
from Punta Cana to Atlantic City, and then he went back to the Venetian for the third time. So I guess we can say third time's a charm, because that's a great company that he works for.
The last time Brad was in American Cut in Atlantic City, another waiter walks by and he goes, "Dude, who's that?" And I said, "I don't know. It's Brad. He's like a casino host and stuff." And he goes, "His sneakers are $5,000." And I was like, I don't know about sneakers, but apparently you have fans that admire your sneakers, Brad.
Oh, he has a shoe obsession.
Get down. Get down.
Can you close it?
Hold on. What do you need me more? How are you, Mike?
What's going on, Brad? Good to see you, man. How's things going in Vegas for you?
Things are going well, thank you.
What's your impression on how people feel? I mean, bars just closed. Does that make your clients nervous now to come in, or?
Well, Mike, unfortunately, my database is from 3 of the hottest zones there are, with Florida, New York and New Jersey. So things that's making everybody nervous is this whole, 2-week quarantine when you return.
Mm-hmm.
So we just had a really big blackjack tournament this past weekend, and it's a lot of questions that we really don't have answers to because I'm not in New York, I'm not in New Jersey, I'm not in Philly. I don't know what the protocols are, when you land, what you have to do. So that's the only thing that's honestly affecting me. I mean, the bars and everything. When you're a high end customer, things are different.
Right.
I hate to say it, but we have very high end bars that have no volume in them. They're just specifically for those customers. So there's ways that we can make them feel comfortable and kind of, have that Vegas type of vibe without, the masses being around. But the whole quarantine is kind of hurting. But any rumors out there that you hear that any casinos are closing, because I've been seeing a lot of things online about Vegas casinos closing, and we are not closing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What capacity are the hotels? Are they full or 50?
We made a decision right now that we're going to close the Palazzo Hotel, just the hotel. The casino will stay open Monday through Thursday, so it'll be open on the weekends. Because during the week, the demand isn't really there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the weekends were still. I mean, Mike, Saturday was insane.
Really?
But in a good way. I mean, everybody wore masks. It was nice to see. It was a good vibe. Yeah, it's weird. You feel like you're, you feel like you're in a hospital, but it's still nice to see people still coming out. Strips look good. So it's just it's strange, man. It's strange.
Without the numbers, specific numbers, but first thing in the morning, everybody looks at is the drop. What was the casino's drop? Is the drop down? Obviously,
the drop is down, but we obviously segmented our goals towards occupancy and what we're doing these particular weekends. So, for example, when we opened on June 4th, I think our projected win, which we wanted to win as a casino, was somewhere around 14 million, and we tripled it.
Jeez.
So yeah, we came out of the gates really hard, and it just shows you that people were anxious, especially on the higher end. People are really anxious. I have to kind of change up what I do strategically because, like I said, my business is all scared to death.
Yeah.
So now I have to kind of look to Texas, look to California, look to other places that are a little bit closer that don't mind flying out. It's just it's a strange time, Mike. It really is. But we'll get through it. I mean, the one thing about Vegas that I love Atlantic City. We both know that.
Sure.
But the one thing that I'll always give Vegas credit for is Vegas always finds a way to just roll with the punches, revolutionize itself, and come back even better than it was before. So
that's true.
It's one thing about this city that I really, 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 really love is that it's very resilient. So I'm hoping Atlantic City does well. I really honestly am. I mean, we're coming back on the 2nd, and I don't want to come back and sit in the hotel room for a week.
Yeah, it's all in-room dining and also outside dining and food trucks and stuff. Borgata's going to open up the 26th, so they'll be open when you get back. So we'll see how that goes. I don't see much difference in restaurants looking forward. How about Atlantic City? Big article, the young crowd isn't coming out because there aren't the amenities like the day clubs, the nightclubs, the sports betting. All right, is it an older crowd in Vegas or it's just...
Well, my casino is a little bit of an older crowd to begin with. The Venetian's more of an elegant casino. We really don't have that nightlife, day club scene. And it's a great thing because Cal Beach chose this year to renovate their pool, so they closed their pool regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So we got lucky with that because nobody could go anyway. But you're still seeing the younger crowds, not as much of the upscale party crowd. Because the thing about Vegas that I still love is when the majority of these people go out, they still kind of dress up.
Yeah.
You dress to the nines when you go to a nightclub in Las Vegas, but that aspect of it has dropped a lot. You don't see a lot of it, but when we go out to the Cosmo or we drop into Ari or something like that, you do see it still. You see that young Cali crowd because Cali can't do anything. So, they're anxious just to get here and, be able to do something.
Right.
We're not really getting the East Coast crowd though as much. But,
yeah, and it's true that there is a difference between each state. Nobody knows. I don't know. If I went to Vegas, I wouldn't know ahead of time, can I eat inside? Can I eat outside? If I went to New York, I just know what's going on right here.
Right.
Like you said, it's masks all day everywhere where I'm at, and you can't eat indoors. And if I go to Pennsylvania, I can eat indoors and I don't have to wear masks. So you don't even know like what the amenities would be to be out there. How long does it last? September, October, we kind of seeing normal things again?
So,
I mean, what's the forecast?
honestly, there is no forecast. That's the problem because it's just day by day. You know, it's. I wish I could tell you, Mike.
It's strange to be in business because what you do obviously a lot of is forecast, right? You look to next month, you look to last year versus this year, you look to this weekend coming up, you look to Columbus Day weekend, whatever, Labor Day weekend, whatever's coming up, and you forecast. And there's none of that in business. So when you're in your meetings, your corporate meetings, and you're talking to everybody else in marketing, you don't know what to expect. Obviously, you can't beat last year's numbers, right?
No.
So,
well, the majority of our business, Mike, is convention business. That's where we thrive, and that's why we're obviously going to survive because Stan's is an unbelievable company, but we're really not truly going to get back to where we need to be until we get that convention business back, which could be mid 2021.
Yeah. Could be October. Yeah, like March. When is our convention season here in Atlantic City is like fall? When is your season?
365.
No kidding. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's what we thrive on. That's the casino's an amenity essentially. Right. So, with the money that we make in Asia, with our 4 properties in Macau, we have the property in Singapore. It's Las Vegas is more of the convention-based place. Awesome. We do okay in the casinos, but that's when we'll start thriving again, Mike, is when we get that convention business back.
Yeah, that's when we'll start thriving. How do you like it out there, G?
Mike, did G tell you we went to the Mob Museum?
Yeah, you guys played cops and robbers, and somebody shot you.
Had to go see G's cousins in the Mob Museum.
And it's interactive. You get a gun.
I suck. Brad's a good actor. Like he could do a whole thing. I'm just standing there, not saying a word.
I got shot.
Did they take pictures or film it or anything?
They asked to take our picture, but who wants to take a picture? You have a mask on.
Oh yeah, right. You got like 2-3 months that you could kind of sightsee around Vegas, right, G?
I was literally unemployed for 4 months today. So I'm going back to work today, and it's been 4 months date to date, which is unbelievable.
Awesome.
But date to date, yeah.
Listen, Mike, we'll see you in a second, pal. I got to take the dog to daycare, and then I got to
Okay. All right, good. Thanks. Good to hear from you, Brad. Here, cool. Elvis is going to message you in something.
Yeah, I'll check in with you in a couple weeks.
I had Johnny Sunday. Funny having a good time. Stay seated. Oh, yeah, the South Philly crowd's not easy to handle, Elvis. I could have warned you from that swinging out the gates.
Yeah, you wonder. People refuse to put a mask on or something. You wonder how it's – I guess everybody's doing it their own way. I'm going to close the book, G, and I can't wait to talk to you next Tuesday.
No, I know. Next Tuesday, I'll be able to tell you all about what work is like.
Okay.
Going back to work, being in an environment that has a lot of people, what the restaurant's like. So I'll be able to give you all my insight on what's going on.
All right. Look forward to it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And I'll be back tomorrow with Josh and be back next Tuesday with G.
Yeah.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Thanks, G.
Thank you.